Interview with Samuel Fuller, recorded at the Dorchester Hotel on the 4th of October 1980. At that time, Big Red One was a project that involved 5 men and 7 women.
Oh yeah,
And
well,
we seem to lose a few women along the way. I gather that there was a scene originally in the film with Krista Lang,
yeah.
which was cut out.
The sequence, the whole
The
sequence
sequence,
was cut
yes.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
and my baby was cut out. A lot of things were cut out. No, it's not cut out. It's a 4-hour, 20-minute version, and now it's under 2. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
With great success at the box office, there's a possibility that they'll release the picture in its full length in a couple of years. I am not quoting Merv Adelson. He's the head of Lorimar, and that's up to him, not up to me.
Mm-hmm. When the projects became a definite possibility for the film, was Lee Marvin involved at that time?
Yeah. It became a definite possibility about 4 years ago. I'm trying to recall whether... Yeah. Originally, it was... Peter Bogdanovich is responsible for it being written and responsible for it being brought to Lorimar. Mm-hmm. I don't know Lorimar. I don't know anybody there or what it was.
No.
And you asked a good question. Let's see. No, we had Peter's company dissolved. He had a company with 2 directors called Directors Company, financed by Paramount, okayed by White Frank Yablans, and released through Paramount. And that dissolved.
Yeah.
By the time I finished the script. And actually dissolved. I mean, by paperwork.
Sure.
Because Peter contributed 2 pictures to this company. It's a company that's a triumvirate between Peter, Coppola, and Friedkin. Mm-hmm. And Friedkin did not deliver any picture. I don't know him.
No.
Coppola delivered 1, called Conversation. Mm-hmm. Peter delivered 2, Paper Moon, Daisy Miller. Then they dissolved. I had nothing to do with it or knew about it and give a damn. And now that there was no longer a director's company, and at the same time, a very unusual thing happened. Frank Yablans was out at Paramount, too. Everything happened then.
Yeah.
And so he sent it, I always wanted Marvin. He sent it to Marvin, and Marvin called him. He's going to do it. And then Peter took it to his attorney called Jack Schwartzman, who's now an executive or something at Lorimar. Mm-hmm. He's the man who brought in, I don't know, I think Being There or something like that. Is he connected with Being There?
Yeah, probably.
Well, I don't know either, but somewhat big project. And he read the script and called me and raved about it, so automatically I liked him. And then Peter introduced me to Merv Adelson. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened. That's how the damn thing came out. Now, Peter was supposed to produce it. By the time I came back after my 3rd trip to Europe and Africa, he had a commitment to make a picture in Singapore called St. Jack.
St. Jack, yes.
So he brought in Gene Corman as the producer, and that was it.
Mm-hmm. You had worked with Lee Marvin before in television, hadn't you?
Yeah. Well, I made a Virginian, and only one. And they lied. You see, a fellow called Charles Marquis Warren is the producer. He's also directed.
Yeah.
And he created a series called Gunsmoke, very successful. He created a series called, which I never saw, but it's telling you, Rawhide, very successful. And he called and came up to my shack and said, I would like for you, we're going to do the Virginian, 2-hour motion picture. And I don't like to be king. I mean, I remember it as a silent picture, and I remember it as a sound picture. And it's a kind of a silly story to me. And it's a bestseller because in the turn of the century, it's the first romantic, mythical, phony story of the strong, silent Western fellow.
Yeah.
The reason they're strong and silent is they're illiterate and they're dead while they're alive. But that's the true story.
Yeah.
And I'm being very blunt with you. It's a myth. And the nice little school teacher. And I couldn't see myself involved, even though I liked the two movies. The silent one and the sound. The sound one was with Cooper, and Wally Houston was the bad man, and the silent one was someone like William Farnham or something. And Francis, you'll understand that if a man asks you about a certain story, and the key scene in the story is, bad man says to good man, you bastard, or you son of a bitch. And the good man says, when you say that to me, you smile. So what? So he's a son of a bitch. Okay? And I mean, I'm talking about the idiocy of some profanity. Now, in the turn of the century, that was very, very daring, just like Gable telling the girl, frankly, I don't give a damn what happens.
Yeah.
And so I said, fine. There's no money involved. He said, we only have so much money. And if this thing sells, which I found out later they call them pilots. Pilot to me is Mark Twain on a boat, you see. Or Errol Flynn in a plane, winning the war. He said, if this sells, this is what happens. Then this is going to be a real movie. This is what I mean by the hypocrisy. And then they show that to an advertising company. And everybody gets a hard-on for it. They all love it. Isn't this great? Here's where hypocrites come in. Then they sell it to the network. Then they bring you in to make the pictures, and they give you this much to make it. And they lie all the way down the teeth. That's number one. I didn't know this. And the reason I said lie is he came to me and said, we'll give you the maximum money. The maximum. Whatever the hell. He wanted an original story. I write originals, good or bad, whether you like them or not. At least I think they were originals. So I said, all right, let's do the story of the first goddamn kidnapping in the United States. We've been huntswoggled and we've been mesmerized by King's ransom. And that's all over Europe. And particularly between Spain and this country, where the origin of the criminal idea of the snatching of a human being and holding it for a ransom. Because nobody ever would steal you or me. They'd steal a king. That's why it's called King's ransom. So let's do the story of the first kidnapping. And I did, in the West, with Lee Cobb. And I said, on the condition, because I had an idea of a story, there's no difference between a criminal and a judge except the width of the bench that separates them. If I can get into that bench, I will prove that they're the same. Circumstances, meaning money, will change anyone. So he said, great. And I said, on the condition of Marvin, no one. And that's how I met him. Now, without boring you, the reason I say lie is because my scene is to kidnap someone, you must have a cover, a physical cover, a camouflage, and a stampede of cattle, since this is the West and this man owns a lot of cattle. The normal thing is for Marvin to figure out. We start a stampede, and then when the dust settles, the owner is wrong. That's all. Well, lies, universal lies. 30, 50 head of cattle, tired cattle. I had to kick them. They won't run. The assistant editor of Saturday Evening Post called Universal and said, can he come out and do an article on it, because this is television for me. And he had heard of the subject matter. He thought it was very, very interesting, because it's a motion picture story. It's not a TV thing. So he came, and I liked him. He came out with his wife, and they had an 8-page article, Saturday Evening Post, with a cover story, which Universal was so excited about the publicity. Except what was written. And the Post is not a publicity paper. And with their pseudo-intellectual facade, the Poor Man's Atlantic Monthly and American Mercury and Scribner's and Harper's, very cool, you see. He quoted us. He quoted Lee. He quoted me. He quoted Lee Cobb. And that's it. So it was a hilarious experience for me because I remember there were 8 men, and these are the executives of Universal. Now, if we eliminated one, Disney would have had Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. They're dressed the same way, and they walk lockstep, like in prison. Boom, 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 stop, turn, boom, boom. So I told him that, when they go to the veterans, they go at the same time. Say, oh, he loved it. He put it in. Now, wait a minute. Now, these are the executives in black suits, but they had no humor. They have no humor. Of course it's funny. I'm not shooting them. I'm not hitting them. It's just words. So that's how I made the damn thing. Now, they asked me, the ending is they saw it. They loved it. But one thing's missing. See, I didn't realize. See, Marvin, he's killed in the end, and then he doesn't appear anymore. But there's 3 men, young men, that's important. I forgot about that. And one of them is the Virginian. That's why it's called the Virginian. I forgot his name. And then, there were 3.
Yeah.
And I can't write for them. I mean, I don't know how to write for them. I don't know what they would think or say. I can write for Marvin because he had a criminal background. I can write for Lee Cobb. He had an envious background, one of envy, about people in the East. And it was a nightmare because Bill said, his nickname is Bill, Charles Warren, nickname is Bill. He used to be a writer, for magazine. Yeah. He said, all you have to do is this is the star. That young man is the star. And every week, but they advertise the Virginian Universal. And the first 90-minute film, every week. I said, I'll put him behind a rock. And he can raise his head and look up like that. Anyway, to make a long story short, I shot long shots at them, and I cheated. In other words, they didn't belong in my story. My story is of a judge and a criminal. That's all. And that Marvin says, you son of a bitch, that under duress, you're not only as evil as I am, you are me. We can change position now, and I can sit as a judge. And you would say, who am I to judge humans? And I say, who the hell are you? And you have every evil thought that I have. You'd sell your mother goddamn right down the river if you had a chance. Don't tell me you like her and you go to church and you have little boys and girls and you love them. You have 3 feet of wood separating you from the truth. Now that's the story. And in the end, he proves that Cobb is just as criminal as he is. That's the story.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry now, because even Bill said, don't change your mind while you're writing, because he thought I was going to change my mind and call my agent, and then I'd sell it as a movie, make it as a movie.
Yeah.
That's it. We made it, and they wanted me to do 10, which I can't do. I wouldn't do.
No.
Why? They lied to me. First, it's not 2 hours. It's 90 minutes. See, I didn't know you have to take off certain time so somebody can say
slap the ads
smoke a cigarette, or if you have a bad stomach, take this pill. You see, that's lie number 1. Lie number 2: I know cattle, and when I shot that, I selected my men. We call them the herdsmen. You see, they know what to do with cows. These are rough, wonderful men. And they said there's nothing you can do. Now, for me to direct a picture, and I have to grab a cow and pull him to the camera. Well, the Post took a picture of this. So anyway, that's the Virginian. So it's a nightmare. Here's to you.
Cheers.
I never told anybody the whole story.
No. The thing that struck me most about seeing Big Red One yesterday is how it is a synthesis of images from your films. I mean, I sat there and I saw 40 guns, and I saw bits of steel helmet. For instance, the fight in the fog, or the way in Steel Helmet that the Buddha is used as the embodiment of peace that the men are searching for. Whereas in Big
Very
Red
good.
One, you have
Christ.
the Christ figure.
Excellent, yeah.
With the sort of sunken, hollow eyes. And he's got no spiritual meaning at all to the men who are fighting the war around him. I mean, they are there to survive, and that's all that they are there for.
And he's not helping.
He's not helping at all.
He's useless.
Yeah. But, well, the only use he has is, in fact, to keep the German alive when he's directing the...
Yes,
battle
and
from behind
actually
it.
the only use he really has is because of the brainwashing of several centuries, quite a few centuries. So there is this great statue outside Swassum. He is a symbol of protection. He's a symbol of heaven. He's a symbol of goodness. He's a symbol of everything that the people who pass, whether it's Buddha or whether it's Christ, very good, has an impact on them. But it's a mirage. They're real. They're real. And the false platform, the premise of it is that they're waiting for the miracle. The miracle. And the miracle means life, eternal. And there is no life eternal. So he will last, not what he 2,000 years from now there may be another leader. Do you see him? Isn't it wonderful that because you're afraid to die, you'll do anything in the world to be nice to something. Because you're afraid to open that closet door. And they open that closet door. It's like my little girl. I say, there's a bogeyman in there, you know. I love it. Anyway, you hit the nail on the head. It's the same thing.
Also, there's a difference, a very strong difference between Zach in Steel Helmet and Marvin in their relationship to the children. And Zach tries to make Short Round a soldier. He gives him a helmet, tries to transform him into a soldier, and then when the boy is killed at the end of the film, he sort of goes crazy. But Marvin's relationship, first of all, you see the Arab child near him when he's eating, and Marvin is aware of the child and eventually leaves some of the rations there and goes off. There's no communication. And then the second child, the Italian one who wants the coffin for the mother, Marvin's embarrassed when the child sort of shows his feelings and expresses it. But the third child, from the concentration camp, the intensity of some of the feeling that you get of looking at Marvin, I mean, this is really involving you emotionally in what is going on. You're not just observing the film. The way that Marvin brings out the emotion just on the occasional instance is very interesting.
Well, I wanted to underplay one thing, very important. I did not want to become an editorialist. It's the easiest thing, and it's childish. It's almost as bad as saying thou shalt not kill. Empty word, because people kill everybody. Man holds up a bank and he shoots a teller. He shoots you. You're there to put some money in and take some money out. So I don't know why there's a commandment. I don't know what that means. See, I don't know what it means. It's just words.
Yeah.
So it's easy for him to say, no, don't you dare put that helmet on. I don't want you to go through. He represents war, by the way. He's a symbol. There's no name for the side. And I didn't want to editorialize. It was very easy to say, no, that's the worst thing in the world, and you go into a speech, which the people in church would applaud. But I don't care about the people in church since they don't go to movies. It's not just my enemy, they're a complete enemy. The average person who goes to a church, I don't think sees a movie. I think they go out and get drunk and cheat, and they go back to the church again. I don't think they see a movie. And also, that's a competition. They give money to the church. I want the money to box office. So that's an enemy. And I didn't want him to say anything. I didn't even want him to look at it, except the hesitancy between the overt action of his hand. That's all I'm interested in. It's that one split second. You caught it. It's that one split second. Nothing else. Nothing else.
Yeah.
And he's not the cardinal saying, this is very bad for the future of children. I also had the whole idea of that scene is that this boy, in originally I was going to have a girl. I cast a girl in Munich, and a thin girl, and a young girl, very thin, very good. And she was on a set. Very not embarrassing, uncomfortable. No, but I told her, you're out. You're getting paid, you're not in it. Because, pardon me, 2 reasons. It's in the book. I have it in the book. I wanted I didn't want for 1 second even for him to feel the ass of a female. I don't care if she's 6 years old, 16 or 60. I wanted to get away from that. That's number one. That's my error when I wrote it in the book. I wanted a child. And in casting, I even didn't give a damn about the sex. I preferred. I changed my mind to the boy. At Marvin, we had a drink and lunch at his dressing room in his trailer, and he said, the boy is, I'd feel uncomfortable with the girl because of the character that I described to him. Nothing sexual, don't misunderstand. No. But it's just an illusory sucking, which you can catch in an audience. And no kidding, people have their own mind, their own thoughts, that's all. And so we made it the boy, and then the ending of this is, I am not interested in any great drama about that boy dying. He could have found him dead. He could have picked him up and the kid died.
Yeah.
Makes no difference. The thing is that the kid, the living symbol, is false. Even if they lived, they're dead. Much deader than we are. Who made them dead? Much deader. I talk to them, you look at them. They'll eat, they'll go to the bathroom, they'll talk, they'll lay each other, they'll argue, they'll drink, but they're dead. They're dead. I'm talking about concentration camp victims. They are dead. They may be happy. They smile. I've seen them. Well, you've seen them there, haven't you? In Israel? They're dead. Now, the important thing is that the fact that that boy dies, and he's a symbol of all of them that really have not made it, even though they made it with blood going through their veins. He must not react. Because if he reacts, my man is false.
Yeah. Because
his reaction doesn't help that kid. I don't know if you know me. I hate people who react. She's in an accident and you say, oh my God. I don't care about you saying, oh my God. I want to know, can we save her arm? So I get very impatient on anything where the outsider, even if it's a relative, and it's normal, it's very natural, they intrude on a situation where they give nothing. I absolutely give nothing. So he went for that right away, naturally. And I said, all you do is no reaction, my boy. So that the flavor I want is he's death, he's war, he's death.
Yeah.
This is the result of this man. I don't care about the country. No expression in a war. And thank God, in a lot of places, it paid off. Did you feel that?
I did, yes. It also comes back to an image in Fixed Bayonets, where Deno, who doesn't want responsibility, puts his life on the line by going out into the minefield and bringing that guy back.
Yeah.
And then the sergeant says to him, you're carrying a dead body. That
Exactly.
image bounces back.
It's exactly right.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to do a story of that kind of, it's not pessimistic. I'm not a philosopher. And I don't like anyone saying this is an optimistic note or a pessimistic note, because that's the writer's selection of a word. But it has nothing to do with you in life. It has everything to do with him at the typewriter.
Yeah.
If you follow me. Very easy to do that. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, because we can't, sure you show emotion, but not the way you usually see it. Not the way you usually see it. And I wanted to keep away from anybody saying anything when they're hit or dying. And then generally when the man is hit, he says, oh no. If he says anything, oh no, which means I can't believe that had happened to me. That's what you hear that all the time. When you hear an old note, he's hit. If he has the strength, he'll yell out medic. When I did hear and all the damn experience I had, I heard one man speak. I mean, they don't say mother or my wife or my child. They don't say that. And I heard one man, and I think it's in a book. If not, I should have put it in. And he was gut hit, which means he had about 14, 15 minutes to go. And not 2 minutes. And we could not do anything. I'm not a medic. We stuff all the intestines back into the son of a bitch, and we don't know how to stuff them in. We got to get a medic. And the padre, Father Deary, the real padre, the regimental chaplain of the 16th Infantry, was in the area. He came running over. And he began giving him the last rites and all that. Sorry, I don't care. He's not giving me the last rites, he's giving him the last rites. And the man spoke. For the only time I heard, no. In another company, another battalion, maybe you heard 10 men speak. She must have heard something. I was never near a man when he said anything. Right? Yeah. But this man spoke. And he said words to the effect, very briefly, about about his wife. And he hated her. And what he called her. And he called her everything. And he died. Now we had the chaplain by the balls, at least I did. I said, come on, Padre, what are you going to do? He was very embarrassed. He looked like Charles Bickford. The real chaplain.
Yeah.
Oh, what a man, wonderful man. What are you going to do now? Are you going to write to his wife? I won't just tell you what he said, but it's pretty rough. Or you're going to say to yourself, you never heard anything. He said, well, he has illusions, he's confused, he's in pain, and he's in shock. I said, I knew you said. So I don't know. This is the only time I ever heard anyone say anything, and it was the most insulting. The last thing he could think of is his hatred and contempt. All right. That means he must have had that in his mind for years. So, but it's nicer from a movie audience where somebody says something nice. Now, the second time I heard a man say anything when he was killed, when he died, is in the movie. That's true. And there was a lieutenant, not a infantry soldier, private, who in the Hurtgen Forest, this is legitimate, and he did say that. That I didn't make up. No. That's excellent writing, but it's not my writing. And he did say, did I kill the man? He said, did I kill the son of a bitch that killed me? And my sergeant Stuck said, yes. And we always cover all these men with their arms, never their eyes.
No.
Oh, yeah. Did you like that flavor there?
I did indeed.
With the nose, because I've seen that a lot. Yeah. First thing it's not the gentle like that. You don't do that. Just the arm right over the guy. Yeah. And it's forgotten. Now, if you notice in that scene, my sniper, he heard 2 shots.
That's right, yeah.
The sniper got the man, and the man got the sniper. All right. Now, that sniper's in a tree, and that's how they fall. They don't fall to the ground. Their feet get entangled in... Oh, yeah. Did you like that angle of him?
That was incredible.
That's real.
Yeah.
And it's almost Dante Alighieri flavor in life. Because we walked around, and it was mystical. And it was mysterioso. It was unreal. The only thing we knew that was real is the sound. We're waiting to hear this. There's a weapon there. And that brought us right back to reality. It's hard to get that on a screen. Yeah. Picture will go on for 15 hours.
There's another image that struck me very forcibly, and that related to 40 Guns, where
was that now? Yeah.
Barry Sullivan shoots Barbara Stanek, who's being used as a human shield, and then keeps shooting the guy who's holding her, and shoots him and shoots him and shoots him. And I mean, you have that in the sequence where Mark Hamill opens the gas chamber door and finds the German in there and keeps repeatedly shooting him.
Geez, I never thought of that.
But the imagery that leads up to it,
The analogy there is perfect.
The
I
image-
didn't remember that.
no, but the impact of the cutting that you get of the three guys bursting open the doors, and then it slows down just for a moment, and you get the
With the eye.
really horrified reaction as it sinks in. I mean, that,
But that analogy is very interesting because they both, in their own fashion, you're right, are emptying an emotion of theirs through the outlet of a barrel of a weapon. One is a pistol, one is a rifle. Very good. And it is an outlet. Yes, in 40 guns, he hadn't used a gun in 10 years, and this is the hatred for himself, the fact that he's forced to do a thing. That's his. But once he does take the gun out, he becomes the same as Hamlet. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Because it's a very hard thing to define when you squeeze the trigger. It's not hard, it's impossible. Because there's a power of both almost arrogance and insanity as you squeeze it, both together. That's in holding up a bank again, or mugging her, trying to get her purse. Now, the difference between that and infantry is when a man stops Frances in an alley and says, "Give me your bag," and struggles with her, and if she puts up too much of a struggle, he'll shoot her. The difference between that and an infantry soldier is the infantry soldier is doing that to save his life. The other man is doing it to get money. So there's a whole different concept of survival. Now, in life, if you held her up in an alley and grabbed her back and ran, and I came in from another street and I saw you running, and I shot you, elbow, shoulder, you would become terrified. Terrified. Actually terrified. You'd plead, normally, criminally, petty criminally.
yeah.
But if you're a German soldier, you shoot right back. It's a difference. So you have then lowered the mentality of people that life is meaningless. Doesn't mean anything. No, it's nothing. So if you were never born, the couch is there, and somebody else is sitting here. It's hard to explain to you, but when you get to that feeling of being against the princes, I have a photograph. I have several photographs of 2 or 3 Germans. No, 3 young fellows, good-looking sons of bitches. They were hit, and we had one medic with us, around 9 of us. Now, we couldn't get out of the area. Couldn't get out of there. So battalion said, "Stay where you are." Walkie-talkie, "Stay where you are." Now, there are 3 prisoners. We bandaged them. They began to eat our food. They looked at our socks. They have black shoes. We have brown shoes. They felt the contempt we had for them. The reason we have contempt for them is because our general said, "These are Nazis, you kill them." That's exactly what Harry Allen said. That's all there is to it. No speech. He hated politicians. So do I. At the 3rd day, they try to become friendly. We don't accept it. Accept it. If you say to me, "Don't shoot," and you throw your rifle down, you're enemy, you're German, you're a Nazi. In life, the first thing my sergeant does, stop, first thing, you've got your hand like this. He picks up your rifle. If there are bullets in it, he'll blow your head off. because the only reason you gave up is because you knew you were going to too many men. Okay. Now, a lot of people don't know this. Parents of American soldiers don't know this. And I don't care if they know it or don't know. Because it's easy for you. You kill 5 people. And all of a sudden, you want to live.
Down goes the right.
So you throw, well, why the hell am I give a goddamn because you throw your hands up? I don't know why people are really excited about it. 1 second ago, they would say for me, kill him. That's, do you understand? It's hypocritical.
Yeah.
Just because you put your rifle down doesn't alter the one thing. You're a killer, and you killed 5 people. You're a killer. You're a Nazi. That's all we know. Kill them. Because they created one word in this war, kill. And you must kill killers to stop killing. Now, my general made a speech, and it was very embarrassing because it reached the newspapers in New York and the United States. And the pro-Hitlerites in the United States, the senators and congressmen, the heads of the American Nazi Bund, the Senator Wheeler and Senator Nye and Senator Bilbo and bastards like this goddamn Wallace who wouldn't let any black kid go into a school. These really bastards. These are Nazis. I don't care what country they come from. To me, a Nazi could be 5,000 years old. He's a killer. That's all there is to it. Now, Terry Allen made a speech, and it was reported by Yank and Stars and Stripes. And they raised hell all the way to Washington and this country, London. Because they say he said the same thing that Hitler said. Kill them, Wilderbach. You see? And Terry said, I did. I said, kill the Nazis. Now, I'm in charge of 15,000 men, and our job is to kill Nazis. Now, if you don't want me to lead the 15,000 men, you lead them. If I lead my men, this is the 1st Division, it's got the record of killing more Nazis than any son of a bitch because that was the job. But he's a great man, Terry Allen. He says, if you don't like me saying that, you take over, and I'll go to the Pentagon and get a desk job. He's wonderful. And they said, no, well, from Marshall right up to Franklin D. Roosevelt, this is a rough man, and this is a real division. Now, when he says anything to us, this is no flag now. No American, no flag, no music. No, it's Terry. Read a book. There are 6 volumes by Churchill. Look up the word Allen, and you'll read about Terry Allen. There's a book called Crusade in Europe by Eisenhower. Look up Allen. There's a book called The Soldier's Story by Omar Bradley. Look up the name Allen, and they'll confirm what I just said.
Yeah.
He's our general. We are trained for only one thing. He gives us the green light. And wrong or right, it's wrong to kill. It's right to kill a killer, and that's his theory. And if you were in any division, you would like to be with him. You know, he's very honest. Well, it's still too young to know what I'm talking about. He's an honest man that way. Very honest. There's no shadings. Because when you shade, you're a politician the minute you shade. The minute you describe or explain anything, you're a politician.
Could I break in there with one point? Verboten is a film which examines the issue partly of what's the difference between a Nazi and a German.
Very big.
And you have this polarized in one image, virtually, where Schroeder is introduced and the guy is playing horse vessel and he starts talking about what a pimp vessel was and gets shot. But this polarization of imagery doesn't appear to be quite as strong in the Big Red One as it has been in some of your other films.
No, because
it's much more
polarization was based. The polarization is the premise of the story. Now, I wanted to bring out something that I saw in Germany. When he started, and then he was pushed back in the putsch, there were 2 putches that hit him. And finally, in the late 30s especially, between 33 and 37, anyone who contested him, and I'm not saying that the Germans who were anti-Hitler did it because of the love of humanity, or the love of Jews, or the love of money. But I don't know what the hell, why they did it. I don't care. But the first people killed by Hitler were the Lutherans. The first people put in prison camps were the Lutherans, his own people first, see? Nobody ever thinks about that. I don't care if it's 1 or 10,000. That takes a lot of courage. Man bangs on the door, boom, 3 stormtroopers come in, and you say, down with Hitler. That's a lot, and you're German. Then, don't forget, he wanted to change the Bible. I have 2 Mein Kampf books, by the way, originals. The originals, yeah. And his dream was to in the beginning, the Fuhrer created the heaven and earth. And the Fuhrer said, let there be light, and there was light. And the Fuhrer said, let there be darkness. This was so he said, Jesus got away with it, so can I. Nothing wrong with that. So when I made for Bolton, I was only interested in a story where the people are asked a question that they don't like. To the average audience, a German is the enemy. That's false. If you fought them, it's false. You see. You cannot say the German, and you must say a German I know. You cannot encompass the population. It's impossible.
No.
You cannot. It's impossible. That's the reason why I did it. I also wanted to show the Nuremberg trial. And that's the first time we're shown in any picture. And I was, my friend Ray Kellogg, who's dead now, was asked by Jackson, that's Chief Justice Jackson, United States. He was okayed by the Russian, British, and French judges. And he put the 3 cameras in. He built the little projection, the little rooms there where the lens would come. He did.
Yeah.
And he photographed it. And they gave him all the reels of film, the 4 countries, as a gift. He gave them to me, and I owned them. And I have the entire trial on film. No, the entire trial. Oh, yeah. And you can see the history.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Very interesting, that trial.
The raid on the insane asylum. This is Shop Corridor over again, in a way. Particularly in the response of some of the inmates, or total lack of response to what is going on around them. And then suddenly the one guy finds the gun and stands up and starts shooting anybody in sight, and your character says, if you can't distinguish between who's crazy and sane, it doesn't matter as a soldier, but it's interesting as a writer.
Well, that was put in there. That to me is my only editorializing, in which to be a member of civilization, which is called sanity, to join that brotherhood, to be one of us. We have contempt for them. They're idiots, mentally difficult. They must do what we do. So if they pick up a gun and start killing humans, that's proof they're sane, and that's the only reason I put that in. I had the line in there where, to me, it's a funny line. But anyway, he said, we're not allowed to kill insane people, because it's bad for the public image, but it's okay to kill sane people. See? Oh, Holocaust was a reflection of the stupidity that we're talking, we read, we write, we're sane.
Yeah.
And they're not. Those people, by the way, with the exception of the big man with the beard, are all inmates from a mentally retarded institution and an insane asylum in Tel Aviv. And to them it was a thrill to be on a bus. Now, when we did all that shooting, I never told them, they were great. They reacted legitimately. Mm-hmm. They really were acting.
Yeah.
Didn't know how to do it. But when the man one of them picks up the weapon and proves that he's sane, that to me is the whole story of the Big Red One.
Yeah.
To prove you're sane, you must kill. And that's how little we have progressed. But I don't want to say all that. I wanted it when he just said, I'm one of you.
Yeah. The other image is after the party when the woman goes to the piano and Marvin sits next to her. And he knows where they're going next, and there's a very melancholic moment there, a sort of melancholic feeling, which again seems to go back to Crimson Kimono in a way. There's a sequence in Crimson Kimono in Victoria Shaw's...
Yeah, for the contrast, right. You're right. I didn't think of that. The reason I had that is I asked this woman, her name is Martha Villalonga, and she's a French actress from Paris. She's a character. And in Paris I said, can you play the piano? Oui. Can you play Chopin? Oui. Okay. No rehearsal, nothing. I told her. And I say action at a certain time, and she sees my hand because I'm off scene. I don't care what the hell it is, you play Chopin. Because whatever he wrote is a contrast to what's going to happen, no matter what he wrote. I wouldn't have her play Wagner or Tchaikovsky or Beethoven or Brahms or Bach. I wouldn't, because they have big balls in their music. Chopin never had. No. Gentle. That's the reason. But now I see what you mean about the contrast there was similar. I'm trying to remember the picture. She plays the piano or something?
She plays the piano, yes. It's a fairly crucial sequence in the film in which the relationship has emerged. The fact that she is more interested in him than in the partner.
Yeah. You're pretty. You read a lot of stuff in there that I don't. Mm-hmm. You know. I went through this with French directors.
Yeah.
Really, they said when the man left the table, went there, moved, the camera moved, the metaphysical move was beautiful. I said, well, if you say so. He went there to piss. His bladder was full, and he said, excuse me, and he went to the bathroom. There. Then they wrote in that walk. Now it's funny. Now, if I, in life, went to the men's room, and outside the men's room, he's going to take a peek, and I watch him very carefully, see where he goes. He's going to report me. He's going to say there's a nut out there, and he's taking pictures. He's taking movies of every walk. So what I'm getting is I love the idea of people reading something into anything, because that's a great compliment. Poems are written for that purpose. That's why they're superior, and they're the worst sellers in the history of literature. But one line in a poem, 10 people could read one line. 10 people can read one line, and each one reads something in the line. That's good writing.
Yeah.
Oh no, come on, that's a dream of all writers, for crying out loud.
The French experience of being sort of adopted and lionized hasn't influenced you in the sense that you don't now say, this is a fuller characteristic, I'm going to write it into my next film.
What influenced me?
The images that they've picked up, the ideas that they've read into your films.
Oh, no.
I mean, some directors have been affected that way. I mean, Nick Ray eventually found his contact very depressing and negative. Yeah.
I'm only interested in, at the moment, of the character. As I say, I'll preface it again. The fact that I'm interested in the character doesn't mean he's an interesting character. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I'm interested in telling a certain story doesn't mean it's a good story. This is the danger you have. He knows. It's a hell of a writer. He did something that's great. You don't know. It interests you. It may not interest anyone else. Whatever the hell you're writing. If you say, I am going to write something that I know they will like, there's nothing wrong in that, then to me you're a hack. Let me give you an example. Oh, I know so many writers who did the Shirley Temple pictures. They know this is a child. Now you do the story of a child, the mother, the father, they're separated. The child will maybe bring them together. Okay. It's another version of Kramer versus Kramer. It goes on with Shirley Temple people. Mm-hmm. Or people here are fighting people there. See? The little girl comes in the middle of the battleground. Oh, why are you shooting at him? He's a nice man. Now she goes to that man. And why are you shooting at him? He's a nice man. And so, I'll get the name of the British actor. I'll tell you his name in a minute. And Cesar Romero is the leader of one, and a very famous British actor with a hawk nose. I'll tell you his name in a minute. Been in Metro for years. They say, this child is right. And the other man says, Sahid, right. Now they meet.
Not Basil Rathbone.
No, I don't think he would sink this low, and I loved him. Anyway, no, this is a man, a wonderful actor, an older man.
C. Aubrey Smith?
That's the one, Smith. And then finally he comes out with something that revolted him in life. Why are we here killing each other? This child is right. And the music comes up, Al Newman, 120-piece orchestra, and it says, Rudyard Kipling's Wee Willie Winkies. First of all, Kipling hated little girls like that, but that's and it's a boy. It's like Gunga Dean, you see? And remember Sam Jaffe played the part. I don't know if how funny this is. So it's not difficult, and I'm not lying when I tell you this, you sitting here, if you really want to sell a script, it's not difficult at all to write what you know in advance. Will be a good man, a bad man, and you hope a fresh background to the plot. Fresh, just a little fresh. The most important thing in making a film, too, is one, the money. Either a major studio is going to put money in or an independent. Two, the cast. Now, she comes along with a script, and there's trouble in that script. It's a dangerous premise. Why should they, who have had all this, 8 months they've been working to raise the money, or to get the money, and talking to actors, what the hell do they care about her mind, and her damn script? They want a nice script. They want a story that has no problem. That's what I mean. So you can't go wrong on what I call, it's not just familiar stories. I don't mean just familiar. Something that the moneyed people would never even for this minute think there's a problem. They must never be concerned about written words on paper. The producer, 120 pages, 125 pages. What a script. What, oh, gee. Right, that. He comes here and you know what he does? He proves that the girl's father did not kill 18 people in the subway. And you're the producer, you say, that's wonderful, wonderful. And it's yes. He goes through hell and fire. He does this, he does that. He sinks to the lowest form of degradation. He becomes a psychotic thought. And he says, Miss Merelda, your father is innocent. That's it. They say, we go. Now, this is not only bullshit, it's an insult. Because in real life, if I'm in love with her, and she said, my father is blamed for killing 14 people in the subway, I would say, well, he probably did. And incidentally, what's he got to do with us? And you say he's my father, and I'll say he's not mine. Now forget him. This is life. So that's what I mean by when I say it's easy, it is not difficult. It is not difficult. I just finished a book. I have a screenplay. Now, I've had this book, I'll give you an example. I received a call from a man called, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago, 7, I don't know, 6, 5, Al Ruddy, and Paramount. And he made The Godfather. He made The Longest Yacht, both very successful pictures.
I know it very well. I stayed in his flat in Hollywood for a couple of months. Yes.
And he just finished one with Lee. Raymond Chow put up the money, and Lee and Charlie Bronson on it. It's a chase up in the North Pole somewhere. Now, he said, let's make a movie. I said, fine. I have a story. I'll write a story. I wrote it. And in the interim, something happened between him and Paramount. I don't know. Nothing to do with me. But he was a little, just this much, reluctant of my script. It's called Battle Royale. Now I don't give a goddamn. I told him. He called me before I came here. Wish me luck and all that crap. How's the battle royal? It's none of your damn business, for Christ's sakes. No imagination. None. So I did it as a book. Wrote it as a novel. My agent has it. Roberta Pryor in New York. My other agent, movie agent, called and said, I have two interests now. You know the story Battle Royal? I said, yeah, what about it? He said, well, I didn't know about it. And it's embarrassing for an agent.
Yes.
You ought to know what I'm talking about. He has to pretend he knows what they're saying, and he doesn't know. He doesn't know the property. I love it. And he said there's interest in it now, and they say it's timely. What is it about? So I said, well, George, it's not a question whether it's timely or not. It takes a guy with a lot of guts to make the picture. Because it's the story of 4 assassins. 4. Now, each assassin, as you know in history, like the day of the, what's the name of the one? Jackal that John Wolfe did. The target was de Gaulle. All right. Usually an assassin is assigned to kill an important person. Usually. That's why you use the word assassination instead of kill. If he kills me, he murdered me. He killed me. But if you shoot or kill a president or a king, that's called assassination. It's a stupid differentiation. It's a bullet or a knife, and there's a corpse.
It's not the same argument you have in your film, your new film.
Exactly.
I mean, at what moment does it stop being murder?
That's it.
Yeah.
Right. Now, my story, and that's why Al was a little bit worried about it, was I'm not interested in these men, these assassins, these killers, professional killers, hitmen. I'm not interested in the people seeing them as ordinary hitmen, where you come to them, you give them $1,000 or $50,000, whatever the hell it is, and say, get him, or get Winston Churchill, or get him, whatever the target is. No. These men work for a chair. CHARR. That's their boss. 8 chairs, each one, in each country. The Englishman. And as I told you, I didn't want to talk to, what's his name, about it in Greece.
Yes.
Guinness, I couldn't. Remember I told you he nodded, I was on. I showed him me by character. Englishman, age 72. Profession, assassin. Length of work, 50 years. Boss, Prime Minister of Great Britain. Payment, 10 Downing Street. Doesn't give a goddamn whether it's Gladstone in there or whoever the hell it is. With the name Thatcher means nothing to him. This is where a nation says, get that man. The nation would never be involved in that. It's always somebody says, you kill him, he's a big man. No, I want the big man. Italy. Now, they all have a front. His front. This British, 72 years old, lives in an old folks' home outside London. Never missed in 50 years. Most important, never hit a bystander, an innocent bystander. I'm getting down to brass tacks. Yes. But any man sitting at 10 Downing, in that chair, was sent to Gibby. Name of the man, Joe Wilson. Get him. Yes, sir. He always talks to that chair. He himself has seen many prime ministers. Doesn't make any difference to him. When he's drunk, he talks a little about Baldwin. But anyway, the thing is, he's honest. It's big money, very big money, and they win. So Al said, he said, there's a couple of things here I want to talk to you. He said, can you make them businessmen? I said, no. They're the heads of nations. Schmidt. Oh, yeah, no, he's a chancellor. All right, I don't want to go. That's what I mean by afraid.
Yes.
And it's not even his money. No. Okay, shoot.
Well, the last question, Sam, is what is the next project?
I don't know.
You don't know. You're waiting to see.
No, I'm waiting to select. I'm not waiting to see.
There are a lot of
things
projects.
Have changed now, yes. Things have changed. The climate has changed. I'm now an egomaniac. Tomorrow I may be a dead pauper. But as of right now, unless I get 5 phone calls and each one says, drop dead, deal dead, which can happen. You see?
Sounds hot property now.
Am I right about that? Anything can happen. Anything can happen. No, I don't know what. I will know let's see, 5th or 6th of October. I'll make up my mind. I have an idea what I'll do. I don't know. And the problem that faces me, and we finished the interview, is there are now 6 firm offers. 2 I have to write. 4 are finished scripts. My wife said the hell with sitting down and writing it. That's my hobby. Take it easy. Just take it easy. You've got 4 scripts, 4 different offers, 4 firm offers.
It's a marvelous position to be in.
It is. She said, don't write. Just don't write now. Make it. But, she said, if, however, one of these 2, for instance, you had an idea and you didn't have the time to write it, you personally, and the idea gave me the biggest hard on, and she knows when I get one for a yarn. That's why she said, however, if there's one of these 2 that really gives it to you, by God, write it. So you see, she came back. No, and right now one of them, matter of fact, one of them, I'd like to write, because I have the story.
Yes.
2 young men went to an outfit with a sentence and a half. A sentence and a half. They got a hold of my agent. They said, we went to such and such a place, and they said that if I'll write it and direct it, they can be the producers. All right. Now, there's no story. There's what we call a springboard.
Yes.
They don't have a story. So I met them. I had lunch. That's all. And at the end of lunch, 2 young men, wonderful young men, they said, there's no story here. I said, I know. Don't insult me, for Christ's sakes. You can say a man walked into the bar and he did so-and-so, and found out that his mother was running the bar, and that's as far as we go. Let's say some silly thing. Yeah. The thing is, I did get the middle and the end, and good. Now I don't know what to do. That means writing. That means writing a screenplay.
Yeah, sure.